Hello, hello, Pizza Packs here, and we're live with our April 10th Hangout stream. It's the day after Catholic and Protestant Easter, so hopefully everyone that celebrates that had a nice holiday. We are streaming a little early today because I have interviews, so later today. So we are continuing sorting our polls from Dominaria Remastered. Excuse me. Some mild hiccups this morning. Let's see. Should be commons? That it is. Okay. So we've got our commons, uncommons, retro frames, foils, rares, mythics, and retro lands. Right. The goal today is to get as many of these organized as possible so we can start booking things up. So, I have chat set up if anyone wants to just hang out. It is a little earlier than normal, so I don't know how many people will actually show, but yeah, it's all good. I will be streaming for about 2 hours today, probably. Again, I do have an interview at noon my time, so I have a hard stop at 11:30. Yeah. Excited for today's interview. It's a very interesting organization. So, hopefully, I get the contract. It'd be really nice. But in the meantime, we are sorting out our DMU stuff. Once this is done, move on to color sorting. Probably the rares first, and getting those into books, or into a book, rather. And go from there. Okay. So, our holiday yesterday, I mean, it's all right. We ended up spending our time at home. My partner was not feeling well. Originally, we had plans to spend time with family, and that just didn't pan out. But it's all good. And then for those that celebrate it, next week we have Orthodox Easter. Those of you who have been around the channel for a while will know that I grew up Eastern Orthodox. So I still celebrate some of the holidays, even though I am atheist at this point. I still enjoy a lot of the traditions, but I do not practice the religion. I do not practice any religion, actually. So, good times. And I don't know that my side of the family will be doing anything. My grandmother passed earlier this year, so she was generally the one that would organize things. And there doesn't seem to be much of an appetite since she passed to get together for anything, but it's all right. Still have great memories to reflect on. And some not so great ones, but we don't worry about the bad memories. We focus on the good memories. Remember the good, forgive the bad. Yeah. All right. Really trucking on this. Things moving at a steady pace. And it looks like it is time to pull off our retro borders. They are starting to get a little tight in there. So at the end of this handful, that is a common, not an uncommon. At the end of this handful, we will pull off our retro frames into a separate container. Cool. Looks like our commons are getting pretty stacked as well. We'll pull those off to the common box. We now have 2 common boxes full. We'll pull off some uncommons as well. Pull that to there. And we are down to our last, one of our last boxes. This can be the retro frames. Or, you know, retro frame commons and uncommons, and borderless commons and uncommons. All right. Got that done. Still got this stack, and then we've got 2 short boxes after that. I think that's everything. Yep. Looks like that's everything. We opened quite a bit. Okay. Nothing in chat yet. Probably because I'm streaming about an hour earlier than normal. Or it's just not a very chat-heavy day. We have those two. Hanging out, sorting cards, having a good time. Said hanging out, sorting cards, having a good time. Those are pretty miscut. All right. Hey, Florida boys, how you doing? I'm all right. Had a partner under the weather yesterday, but overall pretty good. Unfortunately, didn't get to see the nieces and nephews, or nieces and nephew. Only have one nephew on that side of the family. But it's all good. Ended up staying home, watching some short films that I've had on my list for a while, and catching up on organizing some stuff. Still need to set up, I've got a project board for putting up all my networking equipment. Just finished up. Is that moving or meetings? Moving. Oh, congratulations. So you moved to a new place? I really need to set it up so chat is on my other monitor so I can actually see it. Let's take this opportunity, now that I have finished the primary stacks, to set up chat over here. Okay, that was chat from yesterday. Hey, apparently we broke 300 subscribers this morning. Or yesterday. Looks like that happened yesterday. We have this. Let's see, let's pop out chat. Have chat there. Go back there so that I don't accidentally end up with echo. Got a whole ass room for magic now. Heck yeah. Nice. Yeah, that was one of the things that I loved for when I moved to, well, when I bought this house, was that I was finally able to have an entire room just for magic. And it's so nice. Alright. I have these two stacks also. These are a little less systematic in the organizing. So we're gonna have to actually look at things. So the last few were just unorganized boosters. Yeah, I'm streaming a little earlier today because I have an interview at noon, and I don't want to accidentally have the stream overrun into an interview. Oh. I can just sort to my heart's content now, and the spouse loves it. Nice. Have you picked up any sorting trays yet, or are you just getting started with that? Not just getting started. I mean, are you getting started, or do you already have a system? Like these BCW modular sorting trays are really cool. They're just kind of expensive. But I actually have 3 other kinds of sorting trays that I use. The best one that I found is there's a slanted alphabetical sorting tray that's absolutely fantastic, and then the standard BCW 20 or 24 slot sorting tray. I generally use them in conjunction with one another. You can fit the 2 of them on a 4-foot table. It's a little, you'll have a little bit of overhang with it, but it's amazing on a 6-foot. So, or I also use a wire cart that I made. I got a shit ton of trays. I got a system that I'm currently trying to move my inventory into a database. Oh, that's cool. Is it a custom database, or are you using something like Deckbox? I keep telling myself that, like, I've had this idea for a inventory system for Magic for like 20 years now, and I just have never gotten around to writing it. I keep telling myself that I'm going to do it, and then I don't do it. Which, you know, probably not the best on my part. And I just keep procrastinating on it. But I think I have like 12 trays in all. Let's see, I've got one in here. I've got 4 in the magic room. I've got 1 on the primary cart. Then I've got 5 in the living room. I've got 2 in here. And then I've got 3 up in storage, so I guess about 12. I lost track as I was saying it. So that's fun. These are all mixed up. Got a sheet going, so when I need a card, I can see if I have it and where it is. Oh, that is a good system. For a little while, I was using Echo MTG and their collection tracker, or I started to use it. I shouldn't say I was using it. I started to use it. I got about 4,000 cards into it and then kind of forgot about it. But what I used to do pre-COVID was in the summer, I would hire some local college students to help me sort stuff, which was always fun. Like, it was a good way to get some stuff organized, and it helped them out, you know, with a little bit of pocket money during the summer. And yeah, it was generally pretty good. But eventually I will get to the point of where I have the stuff organized well enough to do that. The other thing is, like, I have a pseudo-eidetic memory, so like I remember things as pictures. It's some people would call it a photographic memory. It's not exactly a photographic memory, but it's pretty close. And it makes it really easy for me to remember what I have and how many I have. But sometimes I do forget stuff. Ruh-roh, we are out of space for commons. We can use this one. I don't think we're going to hit a whole lot of these. Yeah. I definitely feel you there. It is fun. It can be very tiring. It really depends on how many cards you have. But as we've discussed, like, I literally have millions of cards, so it's a lot. Let's see. All the foils. Go over here. That is almost an entire that is almost an entire thing of foils. Jeez. Row of foils. The row is the word I was looking for. There's almost an entire row of foils. Good lord. I guess that's what happens when you buy a case of collector's boosters. You end up with a lot of foils. Have you come up with a price on those? Yeah, I've been trying to sort out bulk, and I end up in this weird situation where I'm like, yeah, but this card is so good. Why would I put it in bulk? Like, this common gets played in like 4 formats, but I have like 20 play sets. Why do I need it? And then I think about going through the process of listing stuff like on TCG Player, and I'm like, I'll just shove it in a box and let that be future Pete's problem. The only problem with that is I'm also future Pete in this instance. You know? And I quite often find myself saying, man, past Pete was a dick. He left me all this stuff to work on. It's kind of like when I'm down in the shop and I'm, whenever I leave a mess for myself, I'm like, oh man, past me was a dick. But then every now and then, like, I'll need a tool that's really unusual, and I'll discover that I already bought it for myself. Oh yeah, past Pete is awesome. He thinks ahead. I had this stuff figured out. Not like current Pete. Present Pete just has no idea what's going on. That's all good. If you want to hold on to him, that's cool. If not, that's cool too. Just let me know. On my side, funds are getting a little chintzy anyway, so it's probably better that I don't pick them up at the moment. Just paid my taxes, so that was fun. Sometimes past me, when past me did something right, or like, or had a good idea and followed through on it, then past me is a total bro. It's like, thanks, past me. You did good. That's also part of getting older, I think. And sometimes I'll think past me was a dick, and then something will change, and it's like, oh, past me was actually on point there. That was pretty cool. Like at the beginning of the pandemic, I had a buy order for some stocks that I thought I had put through. Is everything good with the funds? We're good for probably another 2 or 3 months. Of expenses as far as my partner and I. It's just things are starting to get a little tight because I haven't had a contract in 6 months, and my partner has been out of work for about 8, going on 9 months actually, because they had a medical issue. Excuse me. And they made the mistake of not telling their work about the medical issue when it was happening. So instead of having the option of going on like medical leave or FMLA, something like that, they ended up just losing their job because they didn't tell their work about what was going on. Like they just didn't realize that they could go on temporary disability or take FMLA leave. So, kind of shot us in the foot there. Yeah, it happens. Hey, Mr. Piraldi. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Where are you from? Do you play Magic? If so, what kind of formats do you like? But it's all good. Luckily, we were financially stable at the time to absorb that, but there were a lot of medical costs that piled up, kind of ate into that. But we're pretty okay for for the next few months. It could always be better, but you know. And we had during that time we had a business that we started together kind of fall apart. But it's all good. Hey Axel, how you doing, man? We're currently sorting DMR, so Dominaria Remastered. Started the stream a little bit early today because I have a interview at noon I will need to prep for. No, it is never time to sell the collection. First off, the rarer parts of the collection, or the rarer parts of the collection is probably the best way to put it. It's very hard to find buyers for those things, and some of them, like, you would literally have to put them to auction. And I'm not up for that. And I just don't want to sell my collection. I'm kind of attached to it. One of those things, like, if I don't have to, I won't. If it comes to me having to sell my collection, it's bad. if we put it that way. It's be very messy. A lot of it is not well organized. I mean, ultimately, if it came down to having to sell my collection, I would, but the thought of that is very anxiety-inducing. So, Axel, working on any cool tattoos? Once things stabilize a bit more, I have a couple of ideas that I might get you to draw up some stuff for me. Oh. Thought you showed me a had to work yesterday, unfortunately. Well, I mean, I was dealing with a sick partner yesterday, so, well, not dealing with, I was taking care of a sick partner yesterday. So, I don't know if you've ever tried to sell power. It takes a very, very long time to move it. Especially if it's not graded power, which most of my power isn't graded, and the lead time on grading is months right now. So, the last time I went to sell, let's see, I had 2 extra Moxen, and I had 2 beta Moxen. Like, they were in pretty good shape, probably around a 6 or a 7 if I got them graded. I sent them off to be graded, at the beginning of 2021. They're still not back yet. And even though I've had them listed, you know, even the ungraded ones, I've had them listed since I sent them off. They still haven't sold. So, like, the market for moving power is not great right now. Like, I'm sure I could go to a couple of specific things. Do I have anything graded? Yeah, I've got a few things graded. My blue hurricanes are graded. Let's see, my miscut Josum gen is graded. Trying to think of what and all I have graded. I've got a couple of foil Grim Monoliths that are graded. One of my sets of Judge Promo Gaia's Cradles is graded. I've got some graded duels, a few other things. So there was a set that was basically an alternate version of Revised that came out in '94. It was effectively an accidental release. So they went to redo Revised, and it's a set called Summer Magic. And there were so many misprints and just fuck-ups that a couple of boxes made it out to stores, and then they pulled the whole thing and supposedly destroyed it all. So there's almost nothing out there. But the Hurricanes, which, keep in mind, Hurricane was a rare at that point. The Hurricanes were misprinted to have a blue mana symbol instead of a green mana symbol, and they had a blue border. Or not blue border, but a blue frame instead of it was white border. All of Summer Magic is white border. And because of the ruling for several years that you could play misprints as printed, they were really sought after. And also, just as a misprint, they're extremely valuable because it's a whole mess with how it was set up. No, Summer Magic is real, and I've got a fair bit of it. I've got 4 or 5 Summer Magic duels. I've got about 50 basics. I was able to get my hands on a Summer Magic box in '95. And I, of course, like an idiot, I opened it. Well, not like an idiot. No one knew it was going to be so crazy at the time. But no, Summer Magic was real. Just like Alternate Fourth is real. I ended up with 3 blue hurricanes. I pulled 3 of them. And I've been trying to get a 4th one ever since. And just, I've never had the opportunity and the funds at the same time. I've only had 2 opportunities to buy them. And I've never had the funds at the time to buy them when I had the opportunity. But they don't come up very often. I think I've seen, other than the 2 I was in the market to buy, I've seen maybe 1 or 2 other ones come up for sale. How much are the Summer Magic duels? It depends. The blue ones are much more valuable than the other ones, but I have a volcanic island, I've got 2 scrublands, a savanna, and a plateau. I think the Volk is like $25,000 last I looked. It might be more. Mine's in kind of rough shape because I played with it for a long time. Like, even in rough shape, they're worth a lot. I mean, just the basics are, between $500 and $1,000. It's one of the most expensive basics that you can have. Oh, those were commons. Like, my Guru lands cost less than my Summer Magic lands. And my Guru lands are misprints. I've got a set of 5 Guru lands that are 100% misprinted. They don't have any of the copper foiling on them, but they are actual Guru lands. So, the whole thing. The original Guru lands have a foiled set symbol. Well, not, I say original like there was more than one printing. Guru lands have a foiled set symbol. They have a copper foil on them, on the set symbol. And mine do not. But they have also been verified to be actual Guru lands, so they are misprints. So, yeah. Let's look up how much Summer Magic duels are, because when I priced them out, that was a couple years ago. Summer Magic. What the fuck? There's a blue hurricane for sale for 10 grand right now. That's distressing. Last one, the last graded one sold. Oh, well, it's graded versus that's an ungraded one. That's why. I was about to say, who the fuck is selling a blue hurricane for 10 grand? But that's for an ungraded one. There is currently no Summer Magic for sale on eBay. See if Card Market has any. There are currently no Badlands for sale from Summer Magic. Alright, let's see what is available for Summer Magic. You can buy a set of basic lands from Summer Magic for 11,000 euros. Right now. It's ungraded, and it looks rough. And I don't really feel like dumping 10 grand right now. Yeah, there's currently one set of Summer Magic for sale, or one set of basic lands for sale on Card Market for $11,000. Let's sort by availability. Oh, there's no... Huh. Card market, what are you doing? Euros are pretty close to parity with the US dollar right now. Okay, there is currently an Animate Dead, a Summer Magic Animate Dead for sale for 90,000 euros. There's a Volcanic Island currently for sale for 18,000 euros. There's a Wheel of Fortune for sale for 12,000 euros, a Shivan Dragon for 12,000 euros, one Blue Hurricane, ungraded, poor condition, 10,000 euros. There's a Lightning Bolt in heavy play for 10,000 euros. There's a Force of Nature at mod play for 8,000 euros. There's a Dragon Whelp for 8,000 euros. There's a Sarah Angel for 6,000 euros. There are two Northern Paladins for 6,000 euros. There's a Copy Artifact for 5,000 euros. A Royal Assassin for 5,000 euros. A Savannah Alliance for 5,000 euros. Two Demonic Tutors for 4,600 euros. An Armageddon for 4,500 euros. Two Fast Bonds for 4,000 euros, one Dark Ritual for, let's see, 3,500 euros, a Crusade for 3,500 euros, a Nevinyrral's Disc for 3,500 euros, a Winter Orb for 3,500 euros. Yeah. Yeah, basically you take whatever price, the easy way to think of it is you look at the revised price and then you multiply it by 100, and that's about that's about where the price is for Summer Magic, if you can even find it. Like, there's currently one duel for sale. That one is in better condition than mine, though. That one's in pretty rough condition. They say excellent, but like excellent. That's pretty heavy play. Yeah. It's got a pretty bad nick on it, too. Let's see, it's got nick there, nick there. I mean, it's in better shape than mine is. You know. Let's see. Yeah, what's... see how much of that with today's exchange rate. What's the price on it? 17,894. That's $19,410. I mean, I can. I know a few people that can verify stuff like that. PSA has some authenticators that you can use. Like there's things you can look for. It's also one of those things that's so unusual that like counterfeiters aren't out there counterfeiting it. And if they were, it wouldn't matter because there's such a limited market for that. If that makes any sense. Other thing with Summer Magic is it's one of the sets that phosphoresces under a black light. So it's really easy to tell if it's fake or not. Both Alternate Fourth and Summer Magic phosphoresce really brightly under a black light. But you can use a loop to verify the rosette pattern on the back, and on the front you can use a loop or an electric microscope to verify some of the patterning in the mana symbols and around the letters. There's a few things you can do. I could give a whole workshop on how to authenticate magic cards. It's not hard. You just have to know what to look for. You know, I've got an electronic microscope that I can hook up to my computer. Oh yeah, I've been burned by counterfeits a few times. It generally ends up being, it almost never happens with individual cards. And the reason for that is when I am buying individual cards, I generally look at especially high-end stuff, which is what there's the highest impetus to counterfeit. First off, like, they don't feel right most of the time. And the pattern looks wrong, if that makes any sense. Like, the pattern on the back is very, very specific in its rosette pattern because it's using an offset printing method. It's a 5-color offset printing, and you can kind of just tell, especially if you're looking at them side by side with a real card. I've noticed some of the more recent counterfeits, the rosette pattern ends up having kind of a herringbone pattern to it when you look at the back of it. What ends up happening generally is if I buy a collection, and there'll be like 3 or 4 counterfeit cards in the collection, and it also depends on who you're buying from. Like, I generally tend to be on higher alert when I'm buying from someone who primarily plays Commander and has really high-end stuff, and I don't know them as someone who generally trades in the higher-end community. Like, I tend to be on higher alert then, and will loop most, if not everything, that I'm buying from them. And that's how I've caught most counterfeits before I've bought them. Okay, so the thing that you have to realize, the machines that Wizards uses, Wizards doesn't actually print magic cards. Wizards contracts it out to 4 different printers around the world. There's one in Belgium, there's one in the US, actually I think there's 2 in the US, there's one in Japan, and then there's one in Mexico, I think? Trying to remember. I'm not 100% sure on that. But they use what's called an offset lithographic printing press. That offset press starts at about $10 million. So if you're going to counterfeit using the same method as Wizards of the Coast, you've got to be a pretty big operation to begin with. Most operations aren't that big. Counterfeiting. There's just more. There are more viable targets for counterfeiting at a lower point of entry than what it takes to counterfeit Magic cards well. The next issue is you have to get the plates made for the Magic packs. You have to get the plates made for the sheet that you're going to be printing. And you have to be able to match the exact offset pattern that they're using, and since they don't publish that information, you have to kind of guess and check, or take an educated guess on it, which is what they have been doing. Keep in mind, this is a largely analog process. It's not as easy as you would think. Also, offset lithographic printing takes a very special set of skills more broadly, and there's not a ton of people that know how to do it. It's literally easier to counterfeit United States currency than it is to counterfeit Magic cards correctly. Then you have the third issue. Excuse me. Got the hiccups. You have the third issue of having to get the correct paper, or the correct card stock. So, the card stock used for Magic, let me find a card that's just absolutely worthless. Ember Beast? Yeah, Ember Beast is worthless. So, yeah. So the things that you have to get to, or that you have to end up doing, is you have to replicate that. You have to replicate the exact pattern for the offset rosette. You also have to get the correct paper. The glue that they use to produce the paper for Magic cards has a very specific coloration that you can see if you tear a card. See that black line? There is a very faint black line from the glue where they put the paper together. I'm not normally one to tear up Magic cards, but it's an Ember Beast. It's worthless. It's a common that's absolutely worthless. But you can see the black core of that glue where they put it together. And then also you have to have the correct ink. Now, the paper itself is hard enough to source. It's sourced entirely out of Germany and Belgium. There are only 2 companies that produce it worldwide, and it is trademarked by Wizards of the Coast. So being able to get that same formulation, or being able to replicate that formulation, is pretty difficult. It's just, like, the barriers for counterfeiting it. Yeah, not everyone's ripped cards before, but you can kind of see it. Yeah, come on, focus. Focus, you fucking camera. There we go. You can see it right there. But not everyone's ever done that. You can also see it on the edge if you look at it with a loupe. But it's a whole thing. And when I get counterfeit cards, I generally either hole punch them or I tear them and put them in the trash so that they don't end up inadvertently ending up with real cards. But you know what? I have a electronic microscope. I can show you. Oh, let's see. Okay. I had stuff on top of the box. I actually own one of these just for verifying cards. I don't use it super often because I don't buy high-end stuff very often at the moment. Oh. When you say you ripped an OG duel, do you mean like an alpha duel? If it's an alpha duel, what the fuck is wrong with you? If it's a revised or, I mean, even an unlimited one, like that's bad. Oh. Yeah, ripping duels, not advised. Just in general. Like, you don't have to. Oh, it was a beta duel. I mean, that's fine then. Jesus. Oh, man. It's funny. No, it wasn't an alpha, it was beta. That's fine. I mean, who hasn't ripped a beta duel, right? Serious. I mean, you could have always sold it as damaged. Like, I know people that will just buy damaged beta and or not just beta, but damaged duels and things like that to use for artist mods and stuff like that. I mean, that seems unnecessary, but I kind of understand what you were getting at there. It does seem a little unnecessary, though. Look at this thing. Oh, that's an extension. Okay. Let's see, I don't use this thing very often. I always break it down before I put it in the... before I put it up, so I've got to remember how to put this thing together. It's got its own little separate monitor too, which is pretty cool. Let's see. That's the focus. To help promote your channel. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Axel. When you get a chance, drop your drop your Instagram and stuff for your what's it called? My brain is just mush today. The link to your business in the chat so people can see it. By the way, Axel does awesome tattoos. Mr. Perialdi, aka Axel, awesome dude who does awesome tattoos. I have been meaning to get him to do some work for me in a while. It's only a Volk. I mean, a beta Volk? That's kind of rude. There's not a lot of those. There are no alpha Volks, so beta is the earliest ones you can get. That's not a joke. Like they actually misprinted alpha, or they forgot to print 2 cards in alpha that they ended up adding to beta. And that was Circle of Protection Black and Volcanic Island. So if someone is trying to sell you a Volcanic Island and they're saying that it is alpha, they are lying to you. Because there are no alpha Volcanic Islands. They literally do not exist. So, that is a thing. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. I've got to plug this thing in. Remember how to use it. Don't remember what this is for. Oh. And I yeeted it across the desk. So I go down here. I don't know. I don't know what that is for. Okay. Let's get this thing plugged in. I mean, yeah. Even in damaged condition, Volcanic Island's a few grand, so that kind of got the better of yourself there. But I also know a guy that ate a time twister, so, and by that I mean physically ate a time twister just to spite someone else. So that's a whole thing. Yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, it and he was at Bazaar of Moxon, which is a really big vintage tournament, and top 8 got to draft power. By that, I mean, like, there was a set of Power 9, and you got to pick what it was, and, you know, power drafts... Can you hear me now? Okay. So power drafts have a very specific order, or at least they used to, and that order was always Lotus... Let's see, it was Lotus, Mox Sapphire, Mox Jet, Ancestral Recall, Time Walk, Mox Ruby, Pearl, Time Twister, and Mox Emerald. Or at least that's what it was at the time. And he had a full set of power, except for Time Spiral. And he was in the second seat. So instead of taking a Mox Sapphire, he took the Time Spiral. And the guy next to him was like, what the fuck? Why did you pass me the Mox Sapphire? He's like, well, because I wanted the Time Twister. And the guy beside him was really fucking bent out of shape about it. He's like, you could have just taken the Mox Sapphire, sold it, and bought the Time Spiral. He's like, no, I just wanted the Mox Sapphire. So the guy was just really just being a dick to him. So he decided, fine, and he took he took the Time Twister and just took a bite out of it in front of him and spit it in the guy's face. And I was like, way to go, idiot. Not only could you have made, like, $2,000 if you had picked in the right order, which is what he was trying to tell you, but you also still don't have a Time Spiral. Way to go, asshole. But, you know, people do dumb stuff to spite others. Especially in this community. That's alright. We all do dumb stuff. Yeah, but, I mean, you're not hurting the other person. I mean, I guess. See, that's the thing. You're not really doing anything to the other person. The only person you're hurting there is yourself. Like, cause now you don't have that money, and you don't have a Time Spiral. Like, it's just dumb. The right call there is, whatever, man, I just wanted the Time Spiral. Or, oops. Yeah, but the story doesn't get him a Time Spiral or, you know, the money, so... Like, what's the point? Woo, you destroyed something that there's a limited supply of. Way to go. Like, there are a finite number of Time Spirals, there are a finite number of Moxen, there are a finite number of Black Lotuses, because they cannot be reprinted. Or at least until the Magic 30 stuff happened, in which case they just kind of said fuck you to everyone. Like, they could have used Magic 30 as an opportunity to to remove the reserve list and make, you know, power available to everyone. But yeah, the only person you're hurting in that situation is yourself directly, and the community as a whole, because you have destroyed one of the pieces of power that there's already a limited supply of. That's also why I'm not a fan of people, hoarding reserve list cards. It's like, okay, so you're hurting the community as a whole in order to profit off it directly. Like, I can kind of understand the profit motive, but at the same time, like, it's just kind of shitty. So. It did not drop the reserve list. They were printed with a non-magic back, so they are not tournament legal. I'm not sure exactly how that affects some of the things, but it did not directly. It did not directly change that. You know, I fucking hate this thing sometimes. I do not remember how to get it to behave the way I normally use it. Alright, let's see if we can add a source here. Video capture device? No. We are looking for... Let's see. I guess we are looking for a video capture device. Video capture device. Create new scope. Let's see, is this a general UVC? Yes, that is what that is. Okay. It's probably a big old green blob just taking up. Okay, so we got that. Let's see if I can get this thing to focus now. Okay, we got direct light. We're just gonna grab a card. I'm gonna show you one of the ways. I know what they are, but there's still a dumb secondary market. I don't understand what you're saying. Okay. Let's see if we can get something in focus here. Okay. Part of a magic card in focus. Cool. Now, let's come in on this. Probably gonna have to refocus a few times. Definitely gonna have to move some lights around. Get right up on this thing. Okay, that's less focus. Fucking manual focus. Okay. So you can start to see the rosette there. Let's pull in on this little fucker. Okay, so this is the green mana symbol on the back of a card. There we go. All right, you see how there is a? Can you see the green mana symbol? You're able to see it? Well, the green mana orb from the back of the card. Yeah, so this has a very specific rosette pattern. You'll notice there's kind of an M shape made up by the yellow portions of the rosette with a white dot in the crest of the M. And then there's a series of red dots inside of it. That's one of the ways you can see if it is counterfeit or not. But that is the specific rosette pattern that we're looking for. You'll notice that there are other colors that can be seen. Like if we really like just get all up in this thing's business. we can get it super clear. You can see the rosette that makes up different things. It's a series of dots that are offset from one another by approximately 30.1 degrees each. And that's how everything's made up. But you can see there's a series of red dots in there. There's 3 that are super prominent. There's another 2 that are offset, or that are, more faded. Now, that is one of the most consistent ways to check, is to look for those those dots there. Now I will grab. I've got a couple of counterfeit cards that are that I use as examples. We have like 3 or 4. Let's see, we got that, and then I've actually got or I can show you an example of a really bad counterfeit. Okay. And I can really only stream for about another half hour. So, but as you can see, there's the M's there. Then we've got, this is something that someone tried to sneak into a collection recently. And then we've got a proxy cube that's just very, very poorly printed. But it was cheap. So by comparison, this is a counterfeit one. Like, the rosette pattern looks nothing like the normal rosette. And you can see it's bad. Like, the rosette pattern itself is just completely wrong. And when you look at it from a distance, like, it looks like it's cross-hatched on everything, because there's no actual black. Like, this was printed with a digital printer, and you can tell. See how the pattern's all muddy and yeah, the pattern is all muddy and messed up, and it looks like it almost looks pixelated. And then on the rest of it, like the rosette itself, you can sort of see the overall rosette pattern, but the dots themselves are wrong. I mean, like, completely wrong. For comparison, this is a real card. Yeah, you can pick them up for about $30. Another way to tell is you can look at the mana symbols on the front. You can see how this is actually printed as a rosette, whereas on an actual card, you'll see that it's an overlay of black ink for the mana symbols. That's another easy way to tell. So, fake looks like shit, made up entirely out of offset, and then real crisp black inking, because the black process is its own process. So all the black stuff, all the white stuff is printed with this specific pigment. Well, the white is actually made up of white and yellow. You can actually see the the yellow offset and the white offsets on it. Same thing with any text. The text should be solid and not have a rosette overlaying it, versus a counterfeit, which is made up of rosette. The edge border, you'll notice this one has a rosette in the border itself. That should not be there. The border should look like this and be completely solid. Maybe a little wrinkly. But the the offset printing process uses 5 colors. It uses white, black, cyan, magenta, and yellow. And that's how you make up all these colors. It's the CMYK system. So cyan, magenta, CMY is cyan, magenta, yellow. And then K is chroma, which is your black and white. Another way to tell is by looking at the set symbol. Set symbol should almost always have a white border around it. There's a few sets where they don't do that, and of course, same thing with black. Looking at the text on the copyright is another giveaway, because it is reverse printed in white. It should not have a rosette in it. And that's mostly on newer cards. There's also specific fonts that they have used over the years. The same goes for like the collector symbol, or not collector symbol, the collector number, and the set tag. And you can see this with a lighted jeweler's loop. You don't actually have to have something like this. So this is a real card. And here is what a counterfeit one looks like. It's completely different. This is on newer stuff. Also, you can look at the hollow foil. The hollow foil should not have a rosette pattern in it at all. This is a counterfeit one. Well, it's counterfeit in that it's a proxy. Like, this is a known proxy product. Like, I bought this as a stand-in for my actual vintage cube, because I'm not walking around with my actual vintage cube when I'm not at home. But like, this is actually a much better counterfeit. This one almost got me. I ended up buying the collection anyway because I was able to validate most of it. But this is an extremely good counterfeit. Like, this looks real for many of the things that most people check. The font is a little off on it. This has a genuine seal on it, which was terrifying. But you'll notice that the seal is a little buggered around the edge. And that's because it's not inlaid, it's actually overlaid on this card. But that's a real authenticity seal, and this is a counterfeit card. Oh yeah, I'm totally into it. I love misprints. Like, this one, even like the dots are what gave it away. How did they get that? They cut it out of a real card and then burnished it onto the card. You'll notice that it's not inlaid into the card itself. It's been burnished onto the card instead of actually inlaid into the print itself. So yeah, this counterfeit was scary good. There were only a few things that gave it away. Like there were some issues with the set symbol. Like the rosette on the set symbol was wrong. Although it was very close. It had an offset that was a little too high. And some of the kerning on the text was incorrect. If I remember correctly, the L and the A were different. Yeah, the DMU had some great misprints. I have a complete misprinted set of frantic searches and counter spells, and I'm always looking to pick up more misprints. But the green mana symbol was a dead giveaway. Some of the rosette on the back is off. You'll notice that the black is in the wrong layer. The offset is incorrect. So this is a counterfeit, and this is the real thing. Like their offset and their layering process was wrong, but they are so like this. The counterfeit cavern, and it was actually a whole playset of caverns that were counterfeit, and I got burned on it, or I almost got burned on it. I didn't actually get burned on this one, but I did keep them as an example. They were scary good. Like, but the rosette was off on the back. It ended up having like this kind of grainy texture on it. Oh, here's another thing to look out for. On the TM, so this is a real card. The TM on after Magic the Gathering should be distinct and be missing most of the overlay. Then this is the TM. On the counterfeit. Man, it is really hard to position this thing. The TM on the counterfeit one. You can see how it bleeds into the blue. Yeah, some of the counterfeits are genuinely terrifying. It used to be like you used to be able to tell just on rares from the set symbol and from the foil, the hollow foil on the front. This hollow foil almost passes. It's super close. The back, the rosette pattern on the back is wrong, and that was the thing that tipped me off. And then checking the green mana symbol helped. There's also the four red dots, or the 4 red circles in the corners. Again, this is the counterfeit one. You notice how that looks, and then you've got a real one, which looks completely different. It should have black in it, and you should have this crescent of yellow and white in that upper corner. The bend test has not worked in a very long time. Counterfeits have been passing the bend test for about 15 years now. It works on rebacked cards, but it's really not a reliable method anymore. The light test still works most of the time, but let me go grab my light test stick. If you're worried about counterfeits, there are 3 things you should have at your disposal. Generally, so you should have a good flashlight, which you can generally use your phone for. I use this from this thing. Uh-oh. Something happened. We're just gonna hide that for now. My camera isn't refreshing. One sec, I'm going to have to... I have to reinitialize my camera. Huh, that was weird. The light test still works in most cases, but you want to have a bright LED light. And you should be able to see through with a blue cast, and you should be able to almost read the text coming through. But it'll have a blue cast to it. Whereas a counterfeit, see how you can't see a damn thing through it? You can barely see the light through it. So, real, semi-transparent, the blue cast. And it should almost look like it's got wrinkles in between it, and that's because of how the glue is applied. Some fakes will go through too much. Most won't let enough light through. Like this, obviously a counterfeit from the light test. Like, this is real. Yeah, you should have that blue kind of wrinkly pattern coming through it, and you should almost be able to read the text. The other thing you should have is jeweler's loupe with a light. It's a lot easier than carrying around a digital microscope. And the last thing I would carry around for checking them is you can get a water pen, but that's a little more iffy. But the 2 big things, good light and a jeweler's loupe. You can use your phone's camera and zoom in to, kind of get that done. But it's a whole thing. Like you can use your phone camera, and if your hands are steady enough, you can actually get it to focus in enough to see the dot. or to see the rosette pattern at the very least. And you can use it to check, some of the text, the rosette pattern itself. You can look for the red dots in the white mana symbol. And you can sometimes see the red dots in the green mana symbol using the zoom on your phone. It is a little iffy though, because it can be hard to get it to focus correctly. But looking at the rosette pattern and then doing a side-by-side with a known good card, like doing a side-by-side with a known good card to see the rosette, it's one of the best methods. And you can see there's a night and day difference there. So, in a pinch, you can use your smartphone. I recommend actually just getting a jeweler's loupe with a light. They're super cheap. You can get them for less than $10. You can also use a scale if you get one that goes down to grains or hundredths of a gram, one or the other, because magic cards have a very specific weight as well. So yeah, thank you for coming to my TED Talk on how to identify counterfeit magic cards. Just gonna turn the scope off, because I don't need that right now. Yeah, any questions? For some reason, my mic keeps going silent. Yeah, that's the whole thing there. There's a lot of different stuff that you can look out for, but those are the big ones. Also, like sometimes the paper feels different, and like if the person's just being sketch in general, that can be a sign, because a lot of the time people know that they have counterfeits. At least from what I've observed, it's very rare for someone to be trying to trade a counterfeit and not know that it's a counterfeit. Like most people know if they have proxies or not. Now, if they're really new and somebody gifted them a bunch of cards, or they bought a collection and haven't gone through it, I'll sometimes give them the benefit of the doubt. But generally, if someone has tried to sell me a counterfeit in the past, I keep a list of people, because I'm one of those guys. But I keep a list of people that have tried to pass counterfeits before, and I will over-scrutinize anything that they try to trade or sell me moving forward. So, one moment, I need to answer the front door. Yes, I have a list of people that have either tried to burn me on deals or have tried to pass counterfeits. Actually keep it in my phone. I have it as a set of contacts with a big red circle on them, right by the name. And if it's something especially egregious, like I will just call them, like I will straight up call them out on Reddit or Facebook or wherever, Twitter too. But it's been a while since I've had to publicly shame someone trying to pass off counterfeit goods or stolen goods. The stolen stuff actually has been a bigger issue in the last couple of years, more so than much more so than counterfeit. There's been on a few events people trying to pass counterfeits. Just before the pandemic, I actually got burned on a pretty big deal from someone that I'd known for several years, who got me with a couple of counterfeits. Ended up eating about $1,400. Yeah, you have to be really careful at big events, especially really big Magic events. If you're running a vendor booth, or just trading, to verify that the person that's trading the stuff actually owns the stuff, because sometimes that happens. Like, something that generally tips me off, if the person has really high-end stuff but doesn't know much, if anything, about Magic, that's a pretty good clue. Or if they're trying to pass it off for like way less than they should, and if they're not interested in trading, they're just interested in selling. It really depends. So, like, one thing I used to use, one of the ways I used to verify things, was I would check DCI numbers. So a lot of people would keep their DCI card, in their binder. That used to be a pretty big thing. And I would verify that their name on their ID matched the name associated with that DCI number. Or I would ask them for their DCI number. And if they didn't have any idea what I was talking about and were trying to sell me obviously competitive stuff, then that was a major red flag. Just asking them about the kind of Magic they like to play and things like that. That will generally tip you off if they actually play Magic, because a lot of people that will steal Magic stuff and try to sell it have no idea anything about Magic. And then also asking them about what they're trying to get from it. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Their DCI numbers don't really exist anymore. So that was a really great tool that I had that's now gone. I still remember my DCI number. I remember my DCI number all 4 or 5 times it changed. So they kept adding numbers to the end of it. Well, they appended numbers to the front and to the end. Because my original DCI number was 6318. Oh, yeah. Also, now that I don't run now that I don't have a store anymore, which I haven't had a store in over 10 years at this point, that's less of a concern. But I buy collections every now and then, so yeah, you have to watch out. Like, generally, there will be red flags. So yeah. See, another big one is if they have no idea what they're trying to get for stuff. Like, generally, someone who's playing pretty reasonably will overvalue their collection. If they're asking for way less than what it should be, that's kind of suspicious. Or if they're asking like an astronomically high amount more than what it should be, that's also suspicious. You're looking for just people who are generally uninformed. Like that, if they're generally uninformed about what they have, that is a major red flag. Also, if you ask them, how they came across it, how long they've been collecting, and if that doesn't really line up, then that doesn't generally bode well for the deal. But like a classic one that I get is, or that I used to get a lot is, oh, my son, didn't do his chores and all that, and we need money, so we're selling his magic cards, and they have like $10,000 worth of competitive stuff. It's like, what are you trying to get for this? And they're like, $300-400. I'm like, yeah, I'll dig some more and ask questions. I have just called the police too during a deal like that, where somebody's come in and tried to sell stuff like that. And every time I've had enough red flags to call the police, they were stolen. So that's a whole thing. Then you can also look on like Reddit and some of the other groups, like some of the Facebook groups, and people will let you know if some of their stuff was stolen. Like I had a trade binder stolen about 4 or 5 years ago. That somebody tried to sell at a local store, and I was able to come in and verify that that was actually my binder, and the person got arrested. So that was the whole thing. One of the biggest things to remember is most of the people that are trying to sell stolen stuff, if you have your OG DCI card, it may be worth something. I mean, it's got a lot of sentimental value to me. I wouldn't sell it. I've actually got a metal one that I got through player rewards. I've got multiple of the plastic ones that they sent as player rewards. At the end of the DCI, at the very end, my DCI number had become 1201631 So. It was originally 6318. And now, if you look up the old DCI system, you know my full name. Haha. Yeah, these are definitely worth stuff. Are old DCI cards really worth something? Like, I don't know why anyone would pay for that. We've got about 4 minutes left on the stream. We're coming up on 11. My interview is at 12, and I need to, do my whole pre-interview ritual and all that. So this thing. Oh, we have a whole nother box of DMU that I missed, or DMR rather. Let's see. That's uncommons. I just can't imagine anyone paying me money for my old DCI card. Like, I've got my original paper one. It's in the filing cabinet over there. As I point to something you can't see, in the filing cabinet over that way. Okay, why is the webcam... Okay, we are dropping this source. Okay, so apparently the scope was fighting with the webcam for refresh control. That is interesting. I don't know. Like, again, I can't imagine anyone paying actual real money for my old DCI card. Because it was mine. Like, it was specific, it was, like, it had my name and information on it. So I don't understand why anyone would want that. I don't have any mega fans out there that I can think of that would want that. I mean, at least that I know of. If I have mega fans that want that, like, that's cool. I didn't know, I don't think I'm that famous. Maybe if it was like Post Malone's, original DCI card, if you ever had one, that would be cool. Could imagine somebody paying for that. Or like John Finkel's DCI card. I would pay money for that. Just so I could call him up and be like, hey, you want your DCI number back? It's gonna cost you. See, those are all rares. Just like extort him for his DCI card. That's terrible. Extortion is wrong. Don't do it. Okay, these are all rares. Oh, that is not a rare. Common. Yeah. So yeah, if there's a database out there of DCI numbers, which I think there actually is, you could actually look up who I am. It's 11. Yes. All right. Now that it is 11, it is time to close out the stream. Thank you everyone for joining me. I had a ton of fun going over how to identify counterfeit cards. Hopefully that is useful information, everyone. Well, hopefully that is information you never have to use, because may all your cards be real. But if you are ever concerned, you can always have someone authenticate. Most stores will authenticate these days. I say most stores. Most stores that I have run into will authenticate these days. And if not, that's cool too. If you're ever if you ever feel like a deal is too good to be true, it probably is. It probably isn't true. Like, it's probably either a counterfeit or it's stolen, so just, yeah, stay frosty on that. Try not to get got, because there are people out there who want to separate you from your money through less than legitimate means. So just be careful with that. Yeah, this is fun. As always, thank you for joining me on this adventure. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. And until next time, everyone stay awesome. All right, bye. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.